Way back, more than 2.5 millennia ago, one man helped spark a revolution in how humanity sees reality. And he didn't just discover something new, he basically invented a whole new way of thinking. Today, we're diving into the world of Thales of Miletus. All right, let me ask you something. What causes an earthquake? Now, today, we can talk all about tectonic plates and fault lines, but what if you had none of that? How would you even begin to explain the ground suddenly and violently shaking right under your feet? Well, for pretty much all of human history, the answer was simple. An angry god did it. That was the explanation. But then, this guy Thales comes along and dares to ask a totally new kind of question. Is there a natural, understandable reason for this? And that right there, that simple shift from accepting a myth to demanding a reason, it's honestly one of the most important moments in the entire history of human thought. Okay, so let's set the scene, because to really get how big a deal Thales was, you have to understand the world he was born into. This was a world where everything was explained by what we call mythos. Lightning, that was a thunderbolt from Zeus. The seasons changing. Oh, that's because a goddess was sad. Every single thing that happened in nature was just another chapter in some epic divine drama. And you gotta think about what that means, right? If the whole world is run by the moods of a bunch of unpredictable gods, then reality itself is fundamentally chaotic. You can't really know anything for sure. You can pray, you can make sacrifices, but you can never truly understand or predict what's gonna happen next. So you've got these incredible stories, but you have absolutely zero power. And then, onto the scene walks our guy, Thales. He was truly the right person in the right place at the exact right time to kickstart a revolution. So Thales lived roughly from 624 to 546 BCE. He was from a city called Miletus, which was basically the New York City of its time, a massive, thriving port on the coast of what's now Turkey. It was a real crossroads of cultures and ideas. And his travels were key. He went to Egypt and absorbed their practical geometry. He visited Babylon and saw their incredibly detailed astronomical records. He wasn't stuck in some backwater. He was standing right at the hub of the ancient world's information highway. And this is his big move. He takes all this knowledge and does something totally new with it. He kicks off this huge transition from mythos, explaining the world with stories about the gods, to logos, which is all about using observation, logic, and reason to figure things out. He started looking for natural causes for natural events. Okay, so think about it. If you're gonna just throw out the gods as the reason for everything, you better have something big to replace them with, right? You need a theory of everything. And Thales, he proposed the very first one. So he asks this question that, at least in the Western world, no one had really dared to ask in this way before. Behind all the different things we see, rocks, wind, fire, people, is there one single fundamental stuff that everything is made of? He was looking for what the Greeks later called the arche. It's this idea of a single underlying source or substance for the entire cosmos. Just the idea itself that there is a single substance is a massive intellectual leap. It implies that the universe isn't just random chaos. It's an ordered, unified system that we can potentially understand. And so, after looking around, observing the world, Thales comes back with his answer. It's not a god. It's not some cosmic monster. It's an element. He declared that the arche was water. Okay, so why water? It seems a bit random, right? But his logic was actually pretty brilliant for its time, and it was all based on what he could see with his own two eyes. First, he saw that water is essential for all life. But even more important, he saw it could change its form. It could be a solid, like ice. It could be a liquid, like, water. And it could be a gas, like vapor or steam. This made it the perfect candidate for the one thing that could transform into everything else. Now, let's be real. Was he right? Is everything made of water? No. But that's not the point. It's so not the point. The revolutionary act was proposing that nature has a single, unified source, and that this source was a natural thing you could see and touch, not some supernatural being. This was the first baby step toward all of science. And this is what's so cool about Thales. He wasn't just some philosopher sitting around thinking abstract thoughts. No, he took this new rational method and he put it to work on real-world, practical problems.
So he learns geometry from the Egyptians, who mostly used it for marking out farmland. But Thales brought it back to Greece and turned it into this incredible tool for understanding the world. He basically showed everyone that this logic stuff wasn't just for philosophical arguments. It could actually give you real answers.
You've probably heard this story. It's a classic. How do you measure the height of the Great Pyramids? I mean, even the Egyptians who built them didn't have an exact number. So what does Thales do? He uses this incredibly elegant piece of logic. He just waited for the time of day when his own shadow was exactly as long as he was tall. And at that precise moment, he measured the pyramid's shadow, knowing that its length would be equal to its true height. He didn't climb it, he measured it with his mind. But if you want to talk about legendary, his most famous feat is on a whole other level. The historian Herodotus tells us about this brutal, 6-year-long war between two massive empires, the Lydians and the Medes. And in 585 BCE, they meet for what's supposed to be the final decisive battle. Just try to picture this, right? You're in the middle of this bloody battle, swords clashing, chaos everywhere. And then, all of a sudden, the sun just vanishes. Day turns into night. For these soldiers, there's only one explanation. The gods are furious. So terrified at the battle just stops. They drop their weapons and make peace right there on the spot. But here's the kicker. It wasn't an omen. It was a solar eclipse. And Thales, using astronomical records he probably got from the Babylonians, had predicted it. He knew it was going to happen. It became this powerful symbol. For the first time, human reason could predict the movements of the heavens. Understanding triumphed over fear, and for a moment, reason literally stopped a war in its tracks. So when you put it all together, you realize that his specific answers, the whole it's all water thing, that's not what really matters. His true legacy, his lasting gift to the world, is the method. It's a simple before and after. Before Thales, the world is a storybook written by gods. After Thales, the world is a puzzle. And he basically handed us the rule book and said, go, figure it out. He gave us permission to look for the answers ourselves. I mean, his influence is just staggering. Think about it. Father of philosophy, check, because he swapped myths for reason. A pioneer of physics, check. He looked for a material cause for everything. Astronomy, mathematics. He didn't just start one field of study, he kickstarted the entire idea of rational inquiry. And what's really fascinating is that while he was so focused on understanding the universe out there, he was also looking inward. This quote is often attributed to him, and it shows that this powerful new tool of reason wasn't just for measuring pyramids. It was also for understanding ourselves. So it all comes back to this, right? Thales' real gift to us was a new way to see. He taught us to look past the stories we're told and to search for the why underneath it all. And that kind of leaves us with a big question for today, doesn't it? What are the modern myths we're living by? What's that one big assumption we all just accept without thinking, that's just waiting for someone to finally stand up and ask, wait a second?